do it be times you wake up be like, man, I had to do that to my son?
Fuck yeah. It be a lot of times, you know.
You know what the thing is? What I had to learn too, what we both got the grasp, we come from the old school, the old era. Whereas this new era of social media, the youngsters never gonna understand. Like, you put your parents at home with. They say they love their parents, they don't want none of, but then you want your parents to shut up.
Yeah, cause I mean,
They wouldn't do that to moms though.
right, exactly. You know, and I always say that, you know, and what would everybody say if that would have been crazy mama? That would have been queso mama. What everybody would have been saying then,
Nothing.
you
That's what
know?
mama love. Mama love can't do no wrong.
Because everybody want to judge me. See, they feeling like I supposed to stood solid because of who I used to be. But I wasn't that person at that time, bro. You know, I hadn't been in trouble in over 10 years. Not a ticket. You know, not I don't enjoy being around all them niggas. You know, gotta hear all them lies in jail and prison every day. I get sick of that, man. You know, there's no joy in that for me. You know, and why can't why can't the son protect the father sometime? So if somebody kick in our door, what everybody gotta do? The daddy the only one gotta shoot? Ain't the son gonna shoot too? He protected me then. What's the difference with him protecting me now? Them, not just him. What's the difference? You know, they quick to say, "You's a father, you's a protector." But so when you get old, and your son or your daughters have to protect you, have to. It's the same thing. When you grown, you protect your parents too.
So let me ask you this. Okay, you mentioned about them having DNA with all of the ones participating in the homicide. How did they get enough evidence to come and say, okay, we're going to pick up you?
Well, they had my car on that new shit they got now on the doorbell ring. They had Butter told them that I came and picked them up. Then on top of that, I'm Blue. I don't believe if that would have been the ordinary Joe parent, they would have picked them up. You know, I don't believe that. And I could be wrong. I could be right. You know, they had my phone ping in the lady yard. Then they had the location drop. You know, these phones are human tracking device. You know, man, anywhere you go, they're gonna backtrack it. They're gonna backtrack it. And I'm gonna tell you, believe it or not, what a lot of people don't know is I told my lawyer, man, I say, man, look, I said, man, go over there and tell them people, man, I did that. That was me. This was in the beginning of the case. That was me. So he said, he was like, that ain't gonna work. The physical evidence, the physical DNA ain't gonna do it. It don't put you, your phone put you out of the area. Your phone put you out of the area. They got DNA evidence on everybody. You know, I ain't got no DNA in the car that the murder's supposed to happen in. He was just like, that's not gonna work. He said, I get it, but you finna fuck up yourself and everything else. You know, it's a lot of things, you know, a lot of people don't know. You know, the girl who say girl was in the apartments, the girl say she gave Queso a ride. You know, all these people testified, man, They don't see nobody's testimony but mine. You know, and I came to the realize, okay, because I'm the daddy. You know, that makes the situation work. But what about the daddy? Okay, protect the son, but what about the daddy? Who come up with this shit because I'm 50 years old, my life over with? This called on top of the hill, not over the hill. You know, I know who come up with the shit that you're OG when you're 25. You know, fucked up a whole generation with that.
Yeah, I had an argument with somebody when I first heard that. I said, "Oh, what the?" But, yeah,
You know,
25 years, you still a baby.
yeah, your mind, your brain ain't even fully developed yet at
Right.
25.
Right.
You know, if your brain, it's even with Queso. If his brain was fully developed, he would have knew. You got to think, man. Like these guys got to quit thinking that, man. I'm just rapping. It's just a song, man. In the white folks' eyes, that's a confession.
So how far do queso people versus Julio people, how far do they live from one another?
It's a good little distance. You know, it ain't far, but it's all right. It ain't really. I ain't gonna say far. You know what I'm saying? It's a good little. It's enough to separate it. You know,
Okay.
in Jacksonville, man, you know, dudes can stay on. I done seen dudes stay on 12th Street and dudes stay on 13th Street beefing. You know, I done seen dudes stay right across the railroad track with each other beefing. You know, so it ain't. You know, it ain't much distance to stop them from spinning. I tell you that much. Yeah.
Okay. Do you know how all this started from the beginning? Like, who was the first one to take the first shot, the first one to diss somebody? You know how this started?
See, that's another thing too, man. I'm glad you brought that up. I don't really know how it started. I got a few ideas. I done heard a few things of how it started. I got a few ideas, but I don't know exactly how it started. But cause I done seen way Fulio and Queso was friends before, you know. And my other son, Crazy, him and Fulio and them, they some kind of kin. It all started behind that dissing, man. You know, like, that's another thing, you know, like dudes think that this dude who the case we was on, they say it's a big assumption out there that Queso was spinning for me. He was going because the dude was supposed to have shot me that got killed. This dude who got killed ain't had nothing to do with me getting shot. All dude made a song trying to be cool, and that's what happened.